Hello and welcome back to KXAM Plus. I'm your host, Esmeralda Zamora, and today is our Nick's First Warning Weather segment with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannin. Nick, welcome back. How are you doing?
Hey, Esme, how you doing?
I am doing great. Back from vacation.
Nice.
Back to some heat.
Yes,
Feels
although it
good.
could be worse.
Yeah, it could be worse, but
So.
we're in summer.
Yeah.
So what do you have for us today?
All right, so I first want to start by doing a little review of July so far, not just the wet weather that we've had, but the impact it's had on temperatures, which have been below what many people would expect for July. And then we'll get into the August outlook that was released from the Climate Prediction Center here just a few days ago. So let's first start by recapping the rain. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention how devastating and of course deadly the heavy rain and flooding were earlier in the month. And we're definitely thinking about all those people affected by this. From a numbers perspective, it has been our 10th wettest July on record in Austin. Of course, much of the Hill Country, one of the top wettest Julys, if not the top wettest July. But strictly from an Austin area perspective, 10th wettest July. This is if we didn't even have any more rain the rest of the month. 5.7 inches does put us in 10th place for wettest Julys on record. You can see the wettest Julys ever back in 1919, more than a foot of rain in Austin. 1903 also had more than a foot of rain, which would both be more than double the rain that we've had so far this July, at least in Austin. So that wet weather is certainly the story of the beginning of this month, and it has helped to erase our rainfall deficit, not just month to date, but also year to date. We've been in a rainfall surplus since January 1st, now for the last couple of weeks.
What does that mean, Nick? A rainfall surplus?
Yeah, it means we've had more rain than we usually would have had since the beginning of January. Now, much of this year, we've been trying to play catch up on that rainfall deficit, which occasionally has been more than 3, I think even 4 inches of a deficit that is built up thanks to several months with below average rainfall.
And
but
here
you can
we're way above normal, right?
Well, not way above. We're way above normal month to date. Which is since July 1st, we've had more than 4 inches above what we should have had for the month of July through now. But year to date, the rainfall surplus is actually kind of minimal. It's only 2/3 of an inch.
Wow.
So as much rain as we've had this month, we've really been playing catch up on what's been so far a very dry year to date, with the exception of July. So that's meant that our surplus is less than you think, especially Austin specifically. Now, other parts of the Hill Country that picked up almost 2 feet of rain earlier in the month are in much bigger of a rainfall surplus than we are. But this data, somewhat more reliable. It goes back further, and these are the official climate sites of Central Texas, meaning Austin's Camp Mabry, also the airport too. And you can see here, at least at Austin's Camp Mabry, just a 2/3 of an inch rainfall surplus. Sorry, 2/3 of a foot there. 0.66 inches there. Yeah, 2/3 of an inch. What was I saying? 2/3 of an inch of a surplus. So that sort of surplus will be wiped out by the end of July if we don't get any additional rain. And then we'll be amazingly back to a rainfall deficit again, likely as we head into August. So we still, in some places, need more rain to keep the surplus going. In other places, we do not need more rain. We've already had more than our fair share in the Hill Country, which picked up half a year's worth of rain in just a few days, of course, earlier on. So kind of an interesting difference there. The areas that have picked up a little wetter than normal for July, and then, of course, way wetter than normal for July. But it did get reflected in last Thursday's drought monitor.
Yeah.
You can see the differences here. I mean, Esme, you and I have been going over the drought monitor a lot
of weeks lately, and this past rain that we had seemed to make a little dent in the drought monitor, but it looks like we're still moderate, right?
Yeah, moderate drought for some areas, but you're right. Just weeks ago, we had some parts of the area in extreme and even exceptional drought.
Yeah.
So you're right that the wet weather the first couple of weeks of July, in two separate chunks has brought that drought almost away, at least from a meteorological perspective. Now, there's still a big need for more rain in the ground. Some of the aquifers, especially south and southwest of Austin, do not have the rain that they need in the ground. And that sort of drought has been building for years and is hard to erase, even with the torrential rain that we had. But from a more recent drought perspective, things have really improved from that level 4 out of 4 drought that some of us had. And now you can see here that the worst kind of drought that we have here locally in our area is a 1 out of 4. And that's just for parts of Hays, Southern Travis, and Caldwell counties. So only 3 of our 15 counties have any sort of drought. The precursor to drought is dryness. And being dry does not mean you're in drought. And I know you're probably thinking, well, we haven't even been dry in Gillespie County and much of Travis County and Austin. We've been wet, but this is not just a short-term drought report. This does include some of the long-term drought that's been building up. But being dry is not drought. So when we focus on the drought, we're only focusing on these areas here, Hays, Travis, and Caldwell counties that are in that moderate drought. But you have to head farther south and west, closer to San Antonio, before you start seeing that drought getting worse. And in those areas, the groundwater conditions are also worse as well.
And Nick, I think it can be easy to feel like we're going to be out of the drought after all of this rain that we saw throughout the month of July. But we need to remember we didn't see rain in the months before that, right?
Right, and that's what brought our drought to the terrible stages that it was, is the buildup of drier than normal months preceding July. And July's rain, while it was in many places historic and, of course, deadly, was not even enough in some areas, like in parts of Travis, Hays, and Caldwell counties, to erase the drought that's been building for years. And I don't anticipate that this Thursday that we will see much, if any, of an impact or a change in the drought, because we've not had a whole lot of rain since last Tuesday. It's a Tuesday to Tuesday cutoff, and then they release it on the Thursday. So this is probably about as good as our drought is going to be here for the short term, unless we were to get some more atypical rain to wrap up the month of July or into August. So this is probably about as good as our drought's going to be. I don't anticipate that our drought gets any worse here when we get the update to it this Thursday. I just don't think it's going to get much better because we haven't had much rain, especially in the areas that are still in a moderate drought.
How much rain do you think we need to see to continue with a good drought monitor?
Yeah, so we need at least average rain to keep the drought from worsening. We need more than average rain to take back and take away the drought completely. So I would say if we got a couple inches of rain in a week's time in portions of Travis, Hays, and Caldwell counties, that may be enough to take that area away from moderate drought and put us back into the abnormally dry category. And by that point, we would be drought-free for the first time in, I think, 3 years. But we don't have that type of rain in our forecast for at least the next week, even though we do have some rain chances this weekend.
Awesome. Well, moving on, we are going to look at another graphic, and this one has a calendar on it.
Yes, this calendar here, I wanted to shift to talk about the temperatures here so far this month. And by the way, you can ignore that 79 for today. That was the high temperature.
Definitely didn't feel like 79
No, I know.
today.
So the way that this all works is that the National Weather Service a few times a day releases a climate report. And then until they release their next one, the high for the day is what was the high when that climate report came out, which was about 8 this morning. So our high by 8 this morning was 79.
What a great temperature at 8 this morning.
Right. But we've, of course, been in the 90s here much of the afternoon. So our next update to the climate report will be this afternoon between about 4 and 5. And that will show that temperatures reached the mid-90s today. But either way, what's kind of remarkable about this, all these blue boxes, Esme, represent high temperatures that were cooler than normal for that specific date.
Wow.
So the
we've
gray
been
box
cool
here,
all of July.
every day except the first, that gray box indicates that we were exactly at average for the high temperature for that day. So the high on July 1st was 95, and that also happened to be the average high for that day. And then every day since, of course, our average high temperatures climb through the month of July. So even if we've hit that 95, by the time we did it again on the 8th and then the 15th, the average high was hotter than that, say 96, 97, and then now approaching 98. So every day except the 1st of July has had cooler than normal high temperatures. And of course, much of that to do with the rounds of rain and storms and clouds that kept the temperatures down at the time. And the wetter our soil is, the longer it takes the atmosphere to heat us up, because once the atmosphere and the sun is heating the soil, then it evaporates the moisture in the soil into the air. Then you've got very humid air, and it takes the sun more energy to heat up humid air than it does dry air. So the more humid it is, the harder it is to see very high temperatures. So even though the rain has stopped, I know we've had our share of clouds the last few days, it has prevented temperatures from climbing above average because the soil has been wet. And we've also had our fair share of humidity coming in off the Gulf as well.
And last week looks to be one of our hottest weeks. I hope it stays the hottest week. I don't want it to get any hotter here in Central Texas.
Well, there are some signs that we've got some hotter numbers coming. But if we can avoid triple digits this month,
we're already at a good start.
That would be great. I know it's certainly been amazing how we've been able to avoid triple digits here this month. Now, for those of you wondering, is this the coolest July ever? The answer is no. There have been way cooler Julys than this. In data that goes back to the late 1800s for the Austin area. 1907 had a much cooler July. That average temperature of 78 factors in the morning low and the afternoon high, and then averages it together for the whole month. So it wasn't like our average high was 78, just our average temperature. Was 78. So we've been several degrees warmer than that. We're in the 28th place for coolest Julys. So it's significant. It's not monumentally significant as far as coolest Julys go.
But we haven't had 100-degree temperatures, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we did some digging, myself and one of our weather interns, Georgia Hernandez. We were looking back at some of the numbers yesterday. Since the late 1800s, when the Austin area started recording data, 29% of Julys have not reached triple digits.
Wow.
Which may seem actually kind of high of a percentage. You would think, oh, every July must have triple digits. It must not be that rare.
So.
Yeah, but this is almost a third of Julys have not had 100-degree days. But remember, that's data that goes back to the late 1800s. Our climate has been warming since then. And in the last 30 years, Esme, the percentage of Julys without triple digits has actually dropped to 16%. So it's been much more rare more recently to not have triple digits in the month of July than it has been throughout the length of the data that goes back to the late 1800s. So as our climate's been warming, it's been harder to get Julys without triple digits, but it still does happen occasionally.
Yeah, well, when was the last July where we saw triple digits?
When we didn't see triple digits.
We didn't see, sorry.
Yeah, so that was actually a good 15 years ago. July of 2010, we did not have triple digit heat. Wow. Full 15 years ago. Amazing. Yet the following summer of 2011 was incredibly hot. So one summer says nothing about what the next summer is going to be like. So our lack of triple digits this summer says nothing about what's going to happen next summer. We just sort of appreciate the summers where we don't have triple digits. And we haven't had triple digits in June either.
No, we didn't.
So you know what? Someone asked me on Twitter today, or X, that, okay, you mentioned the last time, because I posted this graphic last night, the last time we had a July without triple digits.
Yeah.
What I haven't looked up yet is the last time that we didn't have triple digits in June and July.
Oh.
So that'll be my little homework assignment for tonight.
That's a good question to answer.
And amazingly, we had 2 triple digit days in May, And May usually gets no triple digit days. Only 2011, that year I mentioned as being very hot, had more triple digits in May than we did this year.
And what caused this May to have triple digits and not June or July?
Well, at the time, I'm trying to remember the setup back in May, which was 3 months ago, and sometimes this weather can be a blur.
Together.
Yeah. If I remember it rightly, it was a position of high pressure that had moved overhead or just to our west pretty early in the season. And there was some concern at the time being May, which is usually our wettest month of the year. Oh gosh, if we're getting this type of heat in May, what does that mean for summer? June, July, and the rest of summer? But that high that had planted itself to give us this level of heat so early in May moved on by the time we get into late June. I mean, June was another dry month too.
Yeah, very dry.
We got some rain in May, but not as much as usual. June was dry and hot, but not triple digit hot. And then as we got into the beginning of July, the position of high pressure just sort of split and allowed some rain in. And that's what's basically made the difference here is that prolonged soaking rain in the beginning of July that, of course, led to such devastation in parts of the hill country, at the same point filling up our lakes, at the same point mitigating the heat. So June was actually warmer than normal and drier than normal. So it's not like we've had an easy summer. We just haven't had many triple digits this summer.
Yeah.
And one thing that we might find as we go through the next few weeks is because there's more moisture in the ground, okay, it may keep the number of triple digits lower than if the ground was dry, but it will likely boost the feels-like temperatures into the triple digits more frequently because the air is going to be more humid. So it's like, what do you want? Do you want it to be dry and triple digit heat, or do you want it to be humid and upper 90s because it'll still feel like the triple digits anyway? And maybe that's a poll question we have to ask people about their preferences for.
I have a question that just popped into my head. I don't know if it's related, but I'm curious. Does this summer of not having high temperatures have an effect on our hurricane season? Is that one of the reasons why we haven't seen it be so active on land?
No, a hurricane season has been quiet so far. It usually doesn't ramp up, though, until we get into August and September. In fact, it peaks around September 10th. So we're still early days, sort of, in the hurricane season. And there's been plenty of Saharan dust going over the Atlantic, which also helps to mitigate tropical development in the Atlantic too. So that's been a factor there as well. There's been a little bit more wind shear, which tears up storms. And while I don't have any graphics on this, those are a couple of the reasons, but no direct, from what I've seen anyway, direct impact as to us being wetter and cooler here for at least July compared to the Atlantic. And of course, the reason we got so much rain in early July was the leftovers of Tropical Storm Barry that moved into Mexico.
Oh.
And then the remnants, the leftovers there, that moisture got trapped in between areas of high pressure, had nowhere to go. And then it slowly worked in and then just parked over us and provided so much rain. So the tropics, there's still life likely left in them here because we haven't even reached some of the busiest months of the Atlantic hurricane season yet. So it's too early to count that out.
Well, next we have the triple digit days to date, right?
Yeah. So again, our intern, Georgia, and I looked back at how many triple digits we had by now in previous years. So through today's date, July 22nd, how many triple digits had all of these years had through July 22nd?
42 days in 2022.
Yeah. I mean, 2022, we ended up, I think it was getting 60 plus, maybe it was 68 triple digit days that year.
I can't believe that.
So we were well on our way by this time in that year. Starting at the bottom there, 2024, last year already we'd had 14, the year before 31. Yes, 2022 had 42. But then in 2021, we had even had fewer triple digit days than we had this year. Just one.
One day. We're still on top this year. It's okay.
Well, we've had two this year, but they were in May. And 2021 just the one. And then in 2020, we had 15, which was nothing out of the ordinary there. So just goes to show you that even in recent memory, 2021 was even better as far as the triple digit count.
Even cooler.
I don't know if it was cooler from an average temperature perspective. Sometimes you can have hotter temperatures but fewer triple digit days. Let's say you're in the upper 90s all day and in the upper 70s and low 80s at night. That would make for a warmer than average month, even if you don't hit the triple digits as much. So it's hard to say whether these the lack of triple digits on some years made for a cooler summer overall, because you can still have we had a warmer than normal June, but didn't have any triple digits, and that was this year alone. So now people are asking, and some saying that I have jinxed us now by posting the graphic about the lack of triple digits in July, because we still have 9 days left of July.
Yeah, we do.
And these are the next 7 days out of the 9 that we have left. Looking at my calendar now, next Thursday is the final day in July. So this takes us through next Tuesday.
And that's kind of close.
It's cutting it close, especially on a couple of instances there where this Thursday we're forecasting 98. And then a bit of a dip this weekend. We've got some slight rain chances, especially on Saturday. More clouds around too help to knock the temperatures down. And then we're right back up there to 98 here next Tuesday. And there's certainly some wiggle room in the forecast that 98s could become 99s or 100 by then. And in no way, by the way, am I going on record saying that we will not have triple digits for the rest of the month.
I think you jinxed us.
No,
I think we will.
I did not. I think it's going to be close. But the potential is there for us to stick with the upper 90s here for the rest of the month and actually not have triple digits. It's potentially there. That's all I'm saying.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
That's
And
all
then,
I
of course,
can say.
that leads us into August.
August. Oh, our August outlook. Will we see the 100-degree days return in August?
You know, I think we will. Here's what the Climate Prediction Center's monthly outlook for August. This came out last Thursday.
Near normal.
Near normal for the Metro East and warmer than normal for the Hill Country West. So even if we were just near normal, forget the warmer than normal for now. Even if we were just near normal for August, August is a month that usually has the most triple digits of the whole year with 13.
Yeah.
So a near normal August would mean triple digits are back. There's just no way to avoid it if we were near normal for August. That being said, if we're leaning warmer than normal for the Hill Country, which actually may be hard to do given that the soil in the Hill Country is even wetter than it is in the Metro, that may help to lower the temperatures a little bit in the Hill Country for longer because of just how much rain has fallen there. But even if with the Hill Country leaning slightly warmer than normal, you would think that the opportunities are in our favor for triple digits to come back in August if we don't do it by the end of July. So I'm going to say that
we will.
I just don't think we're going to get through August without triple digits. That I am pretty confident about. Whether we get through the end of July without triple digits, I'm a bit more on the fence.
But what about the rainfall? Is it going to be like?
We'll say this with the caveat of depending on the tropics, okay? There's no early signs of more active and rainy weather in August than normal. Yeah. August is usually wetter than July, though, just normally, especially toward the end of the month, we start seeing some storms coming back. But there's no early signs of a wetter pattern, a more long-lasting pattern here for August. But as we found out in the beginning of July, it depends on the tropics. Because if we can get a storm to come in off the Gulf or into Mexico and then north, then that could change everything, because these storms, by the time they get here, are usually fairly slow moving, and then they can produce, as we have seen, tremendous amounts of rainfall. So providing we don't get a Gulf tropical system to come into central Texas, the general odds for rainfall are near normal. And then what you may be thinking is, well, what is normal then for August? So from a rain perspective, it's our 7th wettest month of the year. So it's kind of in the middle. You can see where the average highs go. And the reason it goes 99 to 95 is that we actually find that while August is our hottest month of the year, The hottest part is the beginning of the month. So we average 99 for our high temperature toward the beginning of the month, and then that drops to 95 by the end of the month. So if you're wondering, oh, I got to get through summer, I don't want the heat. Well, you could at least take happiness knowing that heading through August, temperatures typically trend slowly down, not up. That also means that we have yet to hit our hottest time of the year, but it's just not too far away.
And it's coming pretty soon in August.
Yeah, I mean, usually the first week or so, week and a half of August, hottest time of the year here in Central Texas from an average perspective. Our average lows go from 76 at the beginning of the month to 74 by the end. It is our hottest month of the year on average. And then we average 13 triple-digit days in the month of August. So if rain is expected to be near average, temperatures are expected to be near average, if not slightly warmer than average, then it could be a sure bet that we've got triple digits coming. Just a matter of days now, probably.
Yeah, I'm not waiting for them.
Yeah.
Well, we took a look at what July looked like and what it could possibly end looking like. And then we got a dip of what August is going to look like. How confident do you think that this is going to stay as the prediction? Do you think it's pretty on point? Will it change?
I think early indications are that we're not going to have the weather of July continue into August. But it's all so tropical dependent in the summer months here in Central Texas that one storm could make a difference. That's what happened in July. One storm early in the month set the pattern of wet weather, and it certainly was caused by the position of high pressure as well early in the month, not being on top of us and not blocking storms from coming in and really keeping things meandering over us for too long. So the tropical activity in the Gulf is the wild card for August. So much of what actually happens in August will depend on that. We will get an update from the Climate Prediction Center on their August forecast on the final day of July. So, they issue these preliminary outlooks in the middle of the month before, and then the final outlook comes the day before the new month begins. And we'll have to see where their mind is at once they get a little closer to the beginning of August. But this usually gives us a pretty good idea.
Any storms on your radar that you're worried about?
So we do have the opportunity for a little rain this weekend, but rain chances right now are only at 20% on Saturday and at 10% Friday night and on Sunday. So the coverage looks on the low end, but it does come on the weekend. So just bear that in mind. Of course, we'll be tracking that on KXAN at 4 today.
Yes, and we also have that article that you published here on KXAN.com. You can find that on our homepage, and you pretty much went through everything that's on this article, right?
Yeah, and I do want to thank our weather intern, Georgia, for all of her help with me putting this together yesterday and getting this up and Adam early on this morning. Georgia Hernandez, a bright future in her meteorological career, no doubt, and appreciate her help with me last night putting all these numbers together.
Yep, and it's there on our homepage, kxan.com. You can find it pretty quickly. For anyone else who is also looking to find content like Nick and I's awesome show, Nick's First Warning Weather, you can do that on the KXAN Plus app, available where, Nick?
That's on Samsung TV. Sorry, I didn't know you were going to ask. Samsung TV, now you're testing me. Apple TV, Roku, and Fire Stick. Did I miss anything?
Yes, you got it. We're on all platforms now. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we will have you back here next Tuesday.
Thanks.
Thanks.